Now, how many of you people know this? Do you know that every time you give a local anesthetic, you should be recording vital signs, including blood pressure and pulse? That's not when you first see the patient, that's after each local anesthetic. And it says that in the drug insert package for lidocaine and carbocaine and any local you want to give. And although you may not read it, I can tell you that there is this entire profession that does. They're called attorneys. So if you have a problem with a case, one of the first things they ask you is, so of course you've read the drug insert, how could you say no? And you know that you're supposed to have vital signs registered. The other big question becomes, and how often do you have mock emergency drills in your office preparing for that emergency that happened? Okay, and usually the answer is that time was the first mock emergency drill that they have. So doing mock emergencies is so important. And I tell people, when are you going to do them? Well, there's something that I had in my practice, maybe you don't have it on Long Island, it's called a cancellation. And whenever you have a cancellation, you should make use of it. You should then have one of your staff go into a mock emergency, buy your staff pizza, get them soda or whatever, have lunch on you, and go through a mock emergency. There's a fellow that I work with, that I used to work with, in Queens. His name is Harvey. And Harvey has come to the full day lecture. This is just the short lecture tonight. He's come to the full day lecture 6 times with his office manager, who happens to be his wife. When I go to his office, say we're going out to dinner, just for a nice dinner out, I get to his office a little early, and he says to me, Danny, do me a favor. I want you to go over to any person that works in my office, he has 7 people on staff, and ask them what to do for any emergency. And I go, come on, Harvey, I don't want to embarrass them. I don't think that's really nice. He says, no, go ahead, do it. So I do, and guess what? There isn't one person in his office, from the front staff to the back staff, that doesn't know what to do for every single emergency. He has them that well trained. And I said to him, Harvey, this is amazing. You know, you're the only one I know that does this. He says, Danny, I don't do it for the patients. I do it because what happens if I'm the one that has the emergency? Okay? And what happens is that I think that when I have an emergency, I'm going to freeze. And I want to know that someone else is there that knows what to do, even though I may know a little bit what to do, but I may freeze. And I got news for you. We all freeze. When you're under the heat of battle of an emergency, no matter how well you think you know what to do, you tend not to do it as well as you thought when you learned it. Okay? You may do somewhat what you think is right. You know, always getting oxygen on the person is correct, except for one time. Who's going to tell me what that is? If you put oxygen on a patient when they're going through this emergency, you're going to make them worse. Very good. If you've come to this lecture before, you're very smart. Most people don't get that. But by the end of the lecture, everyone's going to get that. Did you hear what he said? Yeah. Hyperventilation. If a person is hyperventilating, okay, you give them oxygen, you're going to make them worse. They're going to go into carpal pedal spasm. They're going to go unconscious. Okay? You never give a person hyperventilating oxygen. And by the way, the drug insert, when you read it, in the second paragraph, it says, at the first sign of an emergency, give oxygen. There's no parentheses that says, except for hyperventilation.